I'm Rachel with San Diego Animal Training, and today we're going to be going over how to teach your dog to go to its bed. This is a really useful behavior if you need your dog to learn to go to a specific location and relax on cue. If you have an overexcited dog, it's really awesome because you can just tell them to go to your bed and relax, and that kind of helps them settle down. It's also great because once they learn to go to their bed on cue and to relax, you can take that bed other places and generalize that behavior to novel locations. So if you're at a restaurant and you want to eat with your dog outside on the patio, you bring your bed with you, you put your bed out, and you have your dog lay down on the bed. So this is a really useful behavior for a lot of different things. And today we're going to be using Georgie as our example dog. So Georgie is a young English Bulldog. He's never really been taught to go to his bed on cue. This is his bed that he usually sleeps on, so we're using that. But you can also always use a yoga mat, a bath mat, or an entry mat. So it really doesn't have to be specifically a bed. But we want to start with something that is new and kind of with a lip on it, so they have to step up onto it. So if you're using a yoga mat, it's better to kind of put the yoga mat up on something with a little bit of a lip, so they have to step up on top of it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So in the beginning, I'm just going to add some value to the bed by putting some of his kibble on there. You want to use, if your dog isn't particularly food motivated, something that's higher value, such as hot dogs, liver treats, something really tasty that gets them excited. Georgie gets excited for all food, so we're just using his kibble for this. So I'm just going to keep doing this, putting some kibble on the mat to build some positive association of when I get on the mat, all this good stuff happens. Good job. Oh, it's so good. If he chooses to hang out there on his own, I'm actually going to click and give him some more treats. If your dog isn't clicker trained, you just want to use a verbal marker such as yes and drop the treats. So it just tells the dog what it does that is correct and is earning him the reinforcer. So I'm going to keep putting some more treats on the bed. Good job. Good. And he's free to get off the bed. He doesn't have to get back on. He doesn't have to stay on. At this point, we're just kind of adding value to the bed, making sure that he knows that this is where the good stuff happens. Good boy. Good boy. So he's standing on the mat, so I'm going to mark that behavior and reinforce it. Good job. Good boy. Yeah, you're doing so good. And because we kind of want to start to teach him to go to the bed on cue, if he stays on there for a little while, I'm actually going to have him get off by tossing a piece of kibble. And when he goes back on his own, I'm going to click and give him some more treats. So I'm capturing the behavior of him getting on the bed and reinforcing it with the kibble. I'm going to have him get off by saying, okay, toss a piece of kibble, let him go get it. And then I gotta wait to see what he does. So if he hangs out next to me like this, I'll just wait and see if he goes to the bed on his own. If he does, I'll capture that behavior, click, and give him some treats. Okay, wait. He chose to stay back on, so I'm gonna click and reinforce again. Good boy. And then I'm going to have him get off because I want him to really get used to getting off and getting back on the bed. Let's go. Okay. So I'm going to actually start pointing to the bed. And when he gets on it, I'm going to click and treat. Now, some dogs might have hesitation about getting on the bed. And if that's the case, you'll actually just click and treat the second that they put one foot on the bed. And you'll click and treat and keep doing that a few times until they get to the point where they put 2 feet on the bed. And then you'll click and treat for that. And you're kind of going to build it up until we get all 4 feet on the bed. When that happens, you want to click, drop a bunch more treats. When your dog gets off, you'll re-cue him. So I'm going to have him get off and say, okay. I'm going to point. And at this point, I'm not saying anything. I'm not using a cue. I'm just using a visual cue of my finger pointing to the bed. Good boy. Okay. And again, I'm going to point. When he gets on the bed, click, and bring the treats. And when I notice I don't give him the treats out of my hand, I want him to eat the treats off the bed because, again, that adds value to the bed. Good boy. So he's laying down, so I'm going to click and treat again. Good boy. Okay. You don't want to get off, huh? Okay. Good boy. I'm going to do one more of just using the visual cue of me pointing. Good. And then this next repetition, I'm going to go ahead and start adding the verbal cue. Okay. Now I'm going to say bed. Good boy. You're such a good boy. Good job. So Georgie automatically goes into a down, but most dogs won't. At this stage, they'll actually just stand, and that's totally fine. They can be standing, they can be sitting, or laying down. We just want to make sure that they're actually getting on the bed with all 4 paws. Okay? Bed. Good. And you saw kind of Georgie was starting to get towards the bed on his own, and I wanted to make sure that I asked him to go before he made the decision on his own, because I really want to strengthen that cue of bed by pairing it with the pointing and him going to it. Okay. So now I'm going to try to start sending Georgie from a further distance. So I'm going to start a little bit further away and say bed while pointing, and then I'm going to bridge it by stepping closer to it. I'm giving him a little bonus reward for staying on there. Okay. Okay. Good. So Georgie's a really fast learner. He's picking things up pretty quickly. Some dogs might have more hesitation for this, so you might have to start doing some of those beginning behaviors, a lot more repetitions of it than I am doing with Georgie. You want to go at your dog's pace. If your dog isn't comfortable and there's some hesitation, work at whatever step that they're successful for a little bit longer, and before you start adding on duration or distance or distractions. I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to kind of walk over here so I'm a little bit further away. And really give your dog some time to figure out what you're asking of him. If you change the picture a little bit, it takes them a little bit of time to figure out what it is that's being asked of them. So don't, if they're not responding right away, don't repeat your request or kind of prompt them. You actually want to just give them a few seconds, usually about up to 45, before you either close the distance or re-cue them. But And if your dog needs water, absolutely let them have water. You're not restricting access to anything at this point. So I'm going to give Georgie some time to figure this out. If he's not responding, I'm going to make it a little bit easier for him by getting a little bit closer to the bed. Re-cue, bed. Good boy. I'm clicking and treating for him staying on the bed. Good job, buddy. And then I'm going to send him back off. Okay? Tries again. Bed. And try to say your cue in the same tone every time. So even though Georgie got off the bed, I clicked while he was still on it. So I'm capturing the behavior of him being on the bed and kind of reinforcing that by making sure that he's on the bed before he gets those treats. I'm going to click and treat for him staying on the bed. And release. Okay. I'm going to try actually sending him from a different location. Okay. Yeah, water. And this is 100% fine. Let them drink the water. Give them a break every once in a while. Always break it up into small sessions. You don't want to be asking too much of your dog or overwhelming them and having them shut down or stop responding. Good boy. All right, here. Good boy, so good. and treat for him staying on the bed. Good boy. Click and treat for him staying on the bed. And then release. Okay. And then we're going to send him from a little bit farther away again. Good. You see why it's important to kind of give them some time to figure it out? Give them some time to process and think about what they're doing. This is a new skill that they don't really have a ton of history doing or doing naturally. We're asking them to do something. Good. So I click and treated while he was still on the bed because I want to kind of keep him there until I release him. Okay. So once the dog is responding reliably from one location, make sure that you're changing the picture up. So your dog generalizes, so it's not only he's responding to when you're in one position. You have to move around, be on different sides, use different hands. It's really the verbal cue that we want to strengthen, not necessarily our body cues or the visual cues. Let's do that again. Good. So remember, I don't want him to really get off the bed until I release him. So if he does get up, I'll just re-cue him, reinforce him for staying, and then release. Okay? Again, bed. Good boy. And you can totally talk to your dog while this. You're such a good boy. It keeps them kind of focused and interested in you and not checking out of training. Good. And I'm going to release. Okay. Send him again. Good. So now we're at the point where he is responding to the verbal cue from different locations. I'm going to start asking him to lay down and start relaxing and adding duration onto the relaxing on the bed itself. So by doing this, I'm going to have him actually lay down on cue. Good. Click treat. Down. So if your dog pops up, just re-cue them down, click and treat. Try to get them before they pop up, so there's like a little pause. I'm going to click for that. Treat. Wait a little bit longer. Click and treat. So when you're adding duration, you only want to start adding duration in seconds. So only 5 seconds to start, then 8 seconds, then 12, so on and so forth. Yeah. I want to catch him before he pops up off there. I'm going to re-cue him back down, click and treat. This is what's hard about trying to kind of talk while doing the training. If you're doing this on your own, really just focus on your dog. Don't focus on anything else. Good boy. Good. So I'm going to go ahead and release him. We're going to do it again. Okay. Good. So he goes to the bed. I'm going to click him for getting on the bed. Give him treats. Cue him to down. Yep. Click treat. It's kind of an automatic stay, so I'm not going to ask him to stay. I'm just going to click and treat for the longer that he's in the down. You notice I'm not moving anywhere. I really want him to just focus on staying in that position without me moving. So just duration at this time. Then I'll add on duration and distance once he's solid at this level. Good boy. Good. Release it. Okay. And I'm going to re-cue. Bed. And this time I'm going to pair it all the way with the down. Recycling treats, buddy. Good. Good. Yeah. So now we're turning it into a chain behavior. He has to go to the bed, and then he has to lay down before he gets reinforced. Good. So he's not popping back up. I'm clicking and treating. Going to wait a few more seconds. Click treat. Wait a few more seconds. Good treat. Good job, buddy. And then I'm going to release him. Okay? Good job. And again, recue. Good. Good. Click treat. So again, I'm doing that chain behavior. He has to go to the bed and then he has to lay down before he gets to click in the treat. He has to perform both behaviors before getting marked and reinforced. Good. Good job, buddy. Good boy. I'm going to release him so we can practice again. Okay? Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Good boy. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Yeah, so good. What you can start also waiting for is any relaxing behavior. So the dog looking away from you, dog putting its head down, kind of leaning over to one hip. Any of those are kind of telling you that the dog is settling down. So if your dog gets back up, remember to re-cue unless we're wanting some water. Get him some more. So now we're actually going to start adding the distance onto the duration of him being on the bed and laying down. So when I say distance, I'm not talking about I'm sending him from further. What I'm talking about is once he's actually on the bed and laying down, I'm going to start actually moving away. So he learns that he has to stay on that spot no matter where I am in the room until he's released. So I'm going to go ahead and cue him. Georgie, head. You're so tired. Come on. Ready? Head. Good. Down. And so in the beginning, I'm literally just going to rock my body backwards. I'm not taking a full step. Click, go back and give him the treat. And I'm going to repeat the same thing. And just rock my body back. Maybe move one foot. Pause. Click. Go back and treat. And I always click before I go back, and the reason for that is I want to make sure that I'm marking him while he's still on the bed. Sometimes what happens is when you get close to them, they get up out of excitement that you're coming towards them. So you want to kind of click before you actually get there so they stay in that position and wait for the food to come to them. So I'm going to have him get up by releasing him. Okay? Good boy. Head. Good job, buddy. Click treat. And this time I'm going to take one full step. Pause for a second. Click. Give him a few more treats. Again, I'm going to walk one step, two steps. Pause for a second. Click and treat. Okay. If your dog is doing really good and you want to just keep building on that momentum, you don't have to have them get up and release them. You can kind of start building that distance gradually. So I'm going to go ahead, start moving away again, just one step, click and treat. And the reason I only did one step that time is because I moved direction. So in the beginning I was going this way, and now I'm starting to move this way. Anytime you change the picture, you want to go back to the simplest form so the dog doesn't have to skip so many steps to get to the next point. So again, I'm going to move one step away. Click, go back and treat. Good boy. And same thing again. Take 1, 2 steps. Click, go back and treat. Good boy. And same thing, this time I'm going to go this way, 1 step, 2 steps. And you can see it's a little bit more difficult for Georgie. So that's why I made sure to click him before he was getting up. So that's a perfect example of why you don't want to move too far too fast. And you notice I don't tell him no or I don't use any what they call no reward markers or anything because I want him to kind of figure it out on his own. Remember to ignore the behavior you don't want, okay? And reinforce the behaviors you do want. So I'm going to wait and give him a second. Re-cue him. Good. Good boy. Good boy. Down. Good. Good job. Good job. Good boy. Move a few more steps back to where it's a little bit more difficult. Good. And when you're working kind of on any kind of stay behavior, it's always more difficult when you turn around and turn your back to the dog or go where they can't see you. They're going to want to move so that they can keep their eyes on you because you are the bringer of the good stuff. So I'm going to again move 1 step away. Click, go back to treat. I'm going to go ahead and release him. We're going to do it again. Okay. Yes. Oh, so now we don't even want to get off the bed. Good boy. I'll give you another bonus. Good job, buddy. So I think we're actually going to end our session here. If you want to continue with this, the next step would just be walking further away and then changing the picture even more by bringing a chair, sitting down next to your dog, clicking and treating them for staying in that position while you're sitting. Because remember, anytime that you change the picture, your dog doesn't generalize. It's a whole new scenario for them. So anytime you add anything new, another dog, strangers, and any of those kinds of situations, it changes the entire picture, and we have to kind of go back to where your dog was, the simplest form of the behavior. So that's the next steps is either moving further away or adding something new like another dog or a chair and sitting down and doing the same behaviors. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. This is Rachel from San Diego Animal Training, and that's how to teach your dog to go to its bed.
Thanks for watching, and remember to follow us on social media and subscribe to us on YouTube.